long thing.
Oh.
Okay, we're good. We're on.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's good to be here. You can see Tanya and Anna on my right and left, and we welcome you to this post-service live. And we've talked about whispers of encouragement. And this morning, I would like to encourage you to interact with us. And if there are some thoughts that you have about these whispers and or wilderness situations that maybe you'd like to talk about. And maybe I can just ask each one of you then if you would just have a word maybe that when you're thinking of these whispers of encouragement, it's been a time, how has that helped you in your growth with God? How do you feel those times of wilderness, have they been detrimental or have they been beneficial in some way? And
Well, I found that I learned a certain aspect of God's character in each of the wilderness experiences. You know, you get to know how much He really does care for you, how much He does love you. You understand His mercy and you know, just different aspects of His character just become so real when you're in the wilderness and when He proves Himself to you, you know, by taking care of you. I don't know, I just learned a lot more about who God is in my wilderness.
so His character then became even more clear to you, I guess, you know, as you spent time in His presence, certain parts of who He was came alive.
Yes.
His
Exactly.
faithfulness, His goodness, His love, all these type of things. How about you, Tanya? Has it become more real to you over the years? How has it deepened? I mean, there were some struggles, some dark nights, I guess.
I mean, it was devastating. I mean, I can't not say that it was devastating. Yes, it was devastating. You know, but you know, the fact that I don't know. Listen, like I just really believed that, you know, I had a purpose through it all, and that even if I hadn't have found treatment in 2019, I was still going to do what I could. I was just going to at least try to keep doing stuff, right? And
God has a purpose for every one of us,
Yeah.
and He knows where we are in the journey of life, and that purpose is never removed. There's always a purpose.
Yeah.
That's why He's put us here on earth, you know, to be open and willing to it's to find that purpose in the midst of that trial and in the midst of adversity, and not to give up, to keep going, to prove God's faithfulness in your situation, you know. But there's always purpose in the wilderness.
yeah, see, Estella is saying that it's a learning experience. Exactly, it is a learning experience, and because we can treat it like that, then that also opens up our perspective in terms of then how we're going to treat ourselves during the wilderness experience. You know, we need to have compassion towards ourselves when we're in that space, because it's hard, it's difficult, right?
Yeah. I think too, it's sometimes we feel helpless and hopeless in our wilderness experiences. And sometimes we have to understand we do have things we can do. We can choose, you know, to wait on God. We can choose to do certain things in our daily schedule, which shows us we're not helpless anymore. And so what's God telling you can do? You know, like you can sing a song. You might not feel like it, but like you did, Anna, you put on some music, worship tapes, and you said, okay, I can do that. I mean, you know, you said I can use my mouth. You know, Elijah, God said, go now and anoint these 3 people. You can do some things. You may not feel like it, but God's saying you can do something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in entering into worship, I always found that, you know, this wasn't about me anymore. This was about God. And the focus would come off of me and it would go back to God where it should be.
Yeah.
You know, so, it was, you know, a denial of myself, learning to you know, not focus on me and my hurts and wallowing in self-pity, but in glorifying God.
Yeah. Maybe that's the reason actually we go through all these situations is that it makes us dependent upon God, and it makes us very what's the word, feeling that all that we have around us is not going to fulfill us in the way we thought it would.
Mhm.
And if we didn't have these feelings of emptiness and of anger and whatever in our lives, negative things, then we wouldn't be looking for something else. And so God allows it so that it would be less of us and less of my life and more of his, because in the end, we're better off with his life, not just the one we have for ourselves.
And thanks, Linda, for writing. Yeah, I mean, the fact that, you know, in the middle of the night, you're saying you go on praise walks. I mean, that's, yeah, exactly. And see, like, God is able to speak to you. And I think exactly like building that relationship, right? And just being honest about where you're at. I think that's key. You have to be just honest with where you're at, because I mean, God already knows, but just, I think coming to that point of not trying to fight what it is that you're experiencing or what it is that you're feeling, that ends up changing also then again how you relate to God, and how you relate to yourself, how you relate then to other people. So exactly, and yeah, definitely, Linda. I mean, the fact that he then shows you how to encourage yourself, which then encourages exactly other people. And that's super powerful, because we are all dealing with our own stuff inside, which sometimes people know nothing about. But the fact that we can still encourage people, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something small. That's a big deal, you know? So.
Well, I believe that these are words of encouragement for us. I guess I'm sort of at the point where I'm listening to ourselves speak, and to you who are listening too, that God wants to whisper to us. But in our fast-paced society, it's difficult, because every moment of every day is filled with some activity, something to watch, something to listen to, something to do. I mean, at home, I mean, we could have our TVs on 24/7 if we wanted to. You know, we could always be in the kitchen cooking, eating. I mean, we have no lack of food. You know, like, even though we're in quarantine, we still have full days, right? And but I guess what we have trouble with is listening, slowing down. It's almost like we feel we're wasting our time when it's too quiet.
You know, over and over again, you see in the scriptures, be still and know. And we don't know how to be still and know God, you know, be still and know. He wants us to be still so that we could hear him. You know, he wants us to be still so that we can calm our spirits, so that we're not rushing about all the time. It's not out there, it's within us and our relationship with him. That's so important. So yeah, the being still, to know who God is, to know his voice, to hear him, then we'll hear those whispers of encouragement. Yeah.
And sometimes I've found, even as we're waiting upon God, we don't always get all the words maybe that we would want, but just listening and slowing down and just, you know, spending time in his presence, all of a sudden, you know, we start reading in the Bible, or we start just worshiping him, and then all of a sudden we sense his presence, and his guidance sort of is there for us, and it's almost instinctively we know what we have to do. You know, we haven't received a big revelation. Nothing's been written on clouds somewhere. We haven't had a vision somehow of where we're to go. But there's this peace, this calm, this assurance that you say, I know what my next step is. And that came out of those moments, our quiet times, where we're still before him. Exactly. And he whispered to us in a way that goes beyond even our understanding. Yeah. This has been a great time to share together. I think we've really enjoyed having this time and sharing with you this morning. Thank you for being part of our time, and I pray you'll share this message with somebody else also who needs to hear this and be encouraged through these whispers of encouragement. We'll continue on next week, and a special message of Pastor Paul will bring on the words of encouragement and listening about the Jesus coming back and the signs of the time, to listen and to be aware of all that's happening around us. So that'll be an interesting topic next Sunday. Have a great week in the Lord. Thank you for being part of this, and we wish you well and wish you a great day. Nice being with you. Bye.
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 What was the last comment?